Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I just want to, talk about, why I love the TV show Arrow. If you're unfamiliar with the TV show Arrow, it's a TV show, it was a, DC show on the CW that followed basically Green Arrow and his team. Obviously, you follow Oliver Queen more as he progresses and becomes the hero that he eventually becomes. Obviously, the show ended not too long ago, probably like a month or two ago at the time of me recording this. But just to me, it's such a great show just to look back on and just be like, it's monumentous to think about everything that went down over the course of that season. Because I think it's because I know certain people had their issues with the show because they kind of made Green Arrow a little more Batman-ish, because out of any of the shows on the CW, especially like the DC shows, it is like one of the more darker, grittier ones, and I think that kind of gave the show a nice element to it because because typically, and not always, but Oliver Queen can be very quippy and stuff like that and a little more jokey. Obviously this is very different take. I mean, it's like night and day when you compare even just TV show wise, like Oliver Queen and Smallville compared to Arrow. It's almost like night and day character wise, but I think it's just all around just a great action show. You're always going to get some nice choreographed action sequences, and just to me the whole aspect of just the show's darker tone too, of just Oliver Queen being one of the few heroes on the CW shows to actually kill, and the struggle with that, kind of that lane of being a vigilante. He's really I mean, he kind of bridges that gap so much between just being straight up a vigilante versus being a hero, and just the struggles of just his story of the 5 years on Lee and you, that whole situation, coming back wanting to protect your city, and what I also think is so beautiful that it isn't just his story. Obviously, Oliver's story ends up being the main focus of the entire show, but as more people join the team, it becomes just as much their story, in the grand scheme of things. I mean, you can't take away from the fact is that this show birthed the Arrowverse, or the Berlantiverse as some people kind of refer to it, but more often than not I go by Arrowverse. It started that little DC connected universe on the CW, and it's that in itself is no easy feat, because I don't think anyone knew that Arrow was going to grow into what it became and eventually build out into all these other spin-offs and connected shows. So much came about because of Arrow, so that's enough on its own. But for me personally, I know people have had their peaks and valleys with the show. I've always loved the show through and through, but I know that's not always going to be something that everyone can say. But I think it's a roller coaster of a show, seeing a hero's peaks and valleys, seeing them at their highest points, seeing them at their lowest points. I feel a lot of times you saw Oliver at his lowest points, and just honestly, such a tormented character. Once again, you can almost get some Batman elements to it, but just for one, Oliver's need to always feel he needed to do things on his own, and that being an element that kind of shifts as the story progresses, because he realizes he needs to rely on other people, because this is no longer just his mission. So many people have come along this ride and, have become part of this mission, part of this team, part of this family to him, and I think that's just kind of all a neat aspect. It's actually interesting too, because it ended up being one of the only shows that kind of pretty stayed grounded, whereas the other shows have a very science fictional element to them. Arrow kind of obviously Arrow had one season of magic, but even that more often than not it stayed at, which I always feel weird saying, but a pretty grounded show, whereas everything stayed pretty street level of just kind of oh my god, look at all these villains with superpowers. Obviously, there are people that have come and gone that have superpowers, but you get what I'm trying to say. Even though Arrow is done, like I said, because the Arrowverse exists, that legacy will always live on, and I think that's such a dope thing, And, I think, if you've never watched Arrow, I think, being able to watch it from beginning to end, which you can do on Netflix, because you can watch all 8 seasons, I think you will still walk away from the show very heavily satisfied. For me in particular, I really liked the series finale. It was a very emotional, just kind of drain out all your emotions. You're just like, this is such a satisfying ending, hitting all the notes and story notes and emotional notes I needed to. But you know, obviously these are just some of the many things I loved about Arrow. Obviously in the comments down below, I'd love to have a conversation with you guys, like, you know, talking about some of our favorite moments of Arrow. Just let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. Really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.